So South Park, the movie. Let's break it down. Let's get into the plot.
All right. Every time we do this, I'm shocked.
The boys.
Is that what we do here?
That's what I always want to do. And whenever we manage to do it and I listen back, I'm like, yes, good.
Oh, okay. Well, then do it.
But I could be wrong.
Why don't you make an outline?
Because I won't follow it. I do make outlines and then I don't look at them.
Just for this part. Just so when we go on a tangent, you go back to the outline to tell us where we were in the movie. That's the part that I'm bad at, is knowing where we stopped talking about the movie.
The place we stopped was minute half. Minute and a half.
Well, you know what you usually do is you play the movie in the background.
Oh, that's
I really
right.
like that, and you took that away from me. Now all I see is us. They capitalize "and." I don't like that.
In the title?
Yeah.
Up here?
Yeah.
I did that.
I don't like that.
That's the thing I've done my whole life is in file names, I have to capitalize everything.
Why?
I don't know. That's just how I do it. I think that's because
Stupid.
I think that was like the iTunes standard and I just got used to that. And so it bothers me to have an uncapitalized word, even if it's and or of.
This is your non-dyslexic mind privilege. You could break grammatical rules for your own pleasure because you know you'll not make those mistakes when you're actually writing professionally.
I would never make that mistake.
I cannot trust my brain. My brain needs to see everything.
Okay, so the kids go to the movies. They see Terrence and Phil at the movie, and the movie presents it like this is the first time the kids have ever heard these curse words. Pause. Hey, growing up, did you ever call curse words swear words?
Never.
But most people do.
Yeah, I think
But
it's
not
a religion.
us.
Yeah, I think curse words are religious because it's a curse. So I think that maybe is why in the South we say curse words, not swear.
Because we're more afraid of God?
No, because the South is more religious.
Well, yeah,
So
but
these are the words.
I guess I do think it's I mean, you're probably right because it's.
I know.
It does seem. Shut up. It does seem like one of those Southern things, like
Yeah.
how, down here in the South, we, when you're a kid, you address your parents' friends, the friends of your parents. You'd call Mr. or Miss first name.
First name. Yeah.
And when I would watch TV, and they would say, well, Mrs. Cobblepot or whatever, I'd be like,
Right, it's
that's
like,
not real. That's not what you
Formal
do.
asshole.
But again, we're the exception.
We're the exception.
And
Yep.
we don't call them swear words, which sounds so fucking silly to me when I say swear. He said a swear
It sounds
word.
like pretentious and dumb and like a little child saying it. We're curse words. Like, yeah, ooh, they cursed.
Yeah.
They did a curse. What do they say in this movie?
Wow, you're such a pig fucker, Philip.
No, Addie. Addie.
So the question is, do they say swear words, curse words? I feel like mostly they say dirty words. I don't know the answer to your question.
That wasn't my question. My question is, do they call them swear words?
That's what I meant.
What? What do they refer to them as in this fucking movie?
That's what I'm saying. I think the main thing they say is dirty words.
Oh.
But I don't remember. But they see Terrence and Philip say this, and the kids react like, oh my God, I've never heard anybody say this. But on the show, it's established these kids already talk like this all
Because
the time.
that's not what they're reacting to. They're thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I watched this on a movie.
Oh, that's true. And I guess the Terrence and Philip show, they don't say this on the show.
And they're exactly just doing a meta commentary on their own show, which is, this is why our show is so crazy and wild. It's, look, we did this.
It's also, when you watch South Park on TV, the dirty swears are bleeped, but now they're not.
Oh, well, that's true. But even bleeping was a big deal because they're still saying the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes you're just making up shit. 'Cause you're like, if they put enough bleeps in a row, you're like, I don't even know what kind of horror they were saying there. Woo!
It's true. I remember in fourth grade, a kid in my class, another kid asked him, do you watch South Park? And he's like, no, we don't get that channel. But actually, it's like, what is it? Static. It's all static on that show, but on that channel, because we don't get it, but I can still hear the audio. So I listen to it.
Why are you saying this to me, Matt?
It's a
What?
memory. Because it's a memory. It's a little thing I remembered. Isn't that nice?
That some kid would listen to it rather than watch it?
I don't actually believe him.
Oh, I see what you're... Yeah, but wait, why would you lie about that if you still have to, like, produce receipts on that? Like, oh, yeah,
No, you
then
don't.
tell
You
me
just-
what...
You're like Donald Trump. I'm just trying to get through this sentence. Just trying to get to the next
Oh,
sentence.
That kid was just like Donald
Just trying to
Trump.
buy a little bit of social credibility here.
Why? Because he probably laughed at, like, yeah, that is funny when that happened.
Like Steve Carell in that movie.
Yeah.
With the boobs in the sand. Yes.
Got it.
So the kids start saying these words. And again, this is the first time you've heard them say it unedited. Do you think it's funnier to hear them curse with bleeps or without?
I always prefer without. I don't know that one is funnier than the other. I just, like I said, if they're going to say several swears in a row and it's beep, 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 then I don't exactly know what they said. So I prefer just hearing it. But I do remember as soon as we put this on and the first curse word came out, I was like, oh, that does feel new and different.
Yeah.
That would have been that alone would have been a reason to go see the movie, which is the whole point of the movie, is that's why all the kids want to see Terrence and Phillip movie. Because, I mean, they are very good at the meta thing. I mean, to actually be doing what we're experiencing while we're watching it is pretty fucking crazy.
And imagine if you were in a theater, which you were.
Which I was, right. But the shirt, when you said the thing about the shirts, I forgot how ubiquitous that was. How everybody all of a sudden
Yeah, it was everywhere. And I
shirt.
was like, I guess the show is about, oh my God, they killed Kenny and cheesy poofs and beefcake. That's what that show is. Which, hey, that is what it was.
And all the shirts is to say, I curse when my mom's not looking. Fat ass. That's what which I don't like that slur, but you know.
Ass?
Yeah.
Trey Parker is like joking in this interview. I heard him. He's like, if you watch those early seasons, like they could be on Sesame Street right now. They're that wholesome. If you removed the swears.
Okay.
Do you think that's, I mean, what I like most about South Park is when it's not, I'm just a fucking
when they're not leaning on their crutch.
When I'm getting old, I just want comedies where people are nice to each other. And that's when I like South Park the most, is when the little kids are getting along and being nice to each other. And
Agreed.
I don't need all these curse words. And I don't need all this commentary. Just like play games with each other and stuff. They get in trouble, and then Kyle's mom, who has been established as the activist mom, who's like, think of the children, leads a national crusade against Terrence and Phillip and the nation of Canada.
You know what? I don't even remember what the resolution of this is.
Satan
How bad
comes up to Earth.
We just watched it. What is wrong with my fucking brain?
So what part do you not remember? Well, it doesn't.
Well, I guess in my head I was like, hey, I wonder if the reason why they're covering this topic is so that when kids inevitably do watch the South Park movie, they are loaded up with some like rhetorical comebacks for their parents who have some things to say after they see news clips saying how bad the movie was. Like maybe the movie itself is like self-protecting.
But what does it say? What does it say that the children should say?
That is why I asked you, what happens in this movie?
Oh, okay. Then yes, they do have that.
I was trying to see if that actually happens.
This movie is kind of a remake of the 6th episode of the show, Death, which the original run of episodes that they produced, that was the last episode of the first 6 that they produced. And they both assumed, well, this is it. This will be the end. I hope people like it, and this will help us get another job in the future. And that episode does kind of have like a finale feel to it, and it's about Terrence and Phillip. That's the introduction of Terrence and Phillip, and the parents get very upset that the kids are watching this filth, and so they abandon all their kids to go to like Hollywood to protest, and while their kids are left at home alone, they get chased by the Grim Reaper. And it has the same, moralizing thing that the movie has of, parents maybe should be less concerned about what your kids are watching and just maybe spend more time with them and try to care about them right now and impart good values into them and keep them out of harm's way
and
that
you'll
way.
It's such a good point. And they probably weren't even parents yet.
No, they weren't.
So, I mean, to understand like, hey, if you just treat your kids as though they are humans just like you are, just people, and then maybe you'll keep your influence. And if you say, hey, maybe don't curse right now, they'll listen. But telling them they can't see a movie and restricting them from seeing things or doing it doesn't actually restrict anything. It exacerbates it.
Which the part about parenting that sucks. There's only one thing that sucks about being a parent, and it's this. It's that you have to work really, really hard all the time.
Right.
And good things will happen.
And as soon as you're having like a day where you're just, your emotional backpack is full and you're not really putting in that extra like pre-work to help there not be a big issue that happens, there's always a big fucking meltdown or fight or something. Like, anyway, when you don't have the energy to make sure your kid feels heard and keeping it's hard.
All they're going to remember is the snapping.
Yeah.
But if you have a good foundation, they'll be like, mom's just having a bad day.
And
Just
luckily,
brush that right off.
still makes it feel like shit in the moment. 'Cause it's like, that's not my style. But hey,
There's an annoying non-parent. These guys aren't parent, and these guys were in their like mid-20s when they made this movie.
Prime
of, like,
parenting age if you're in the South.
parents just use TV as a babysitter for their kids. Which
Okay. Was I supposed to respond?
your response, Lacey?
I do recall that comment. Responded to. There you go. Now
Okay.
back to you, Matt.
Oh, that just annoys me because like parents have to work. Parents have to do stuff. Life is
Oh,
hard.
fuck
Of
yeah.
course, your kids are going to watch TV sometimes.
Well, is it the only difference whenever we had a small person interested in entertainment that wasn't us is the fucking iPad. But people always had shitty comments about screen time and whatever. It's like, you fucking entertainer. I'm busy.
It's
Like,
way worse with
I'm
it's way
tired.
worse with screen time.
The break is, I mean, there's a limit, fine, but I think we all understand when.
Yeah, but the like watch your own kids. Like watch them 24 hours a day.
I mean, they're boring as hell.
But like
No kid's
I have
that
to,
entertaining.
it's not watch them, it's entertain them the whole time. No one can do that.
It's make them feel seen the whole time. But then it's like, but if you're always doing that, then that kid's always going to expect that.
That's true.
Then you're just making a fucking monster.
Yes, every person they go talk to, they're like, "Hey, why aren't you like paying attention to me?" And yeah,
Right. And then they're just
and laughing at
precocious
everything I say. Yeah.
fucking nightmare.
Yep.
I have thoughts and I can't put them in the podcast. I want to have a talk with you about this later.
What?
No, you didn't do anything wrong. This reminded me about something I am experiencing currently with our current child.
I'm in the doghouse now.
No, you're not.
Okay, Mr. Mackey is now, singing a delightful song to the kids about how they shouldn't curse, and it's a great song because it's catchy as hell. It's easy, MK, and here are things you can do instead of saying these words. And the song also explains Mr. Mackey's character, which he's filled with rage, and that's why he says MK, because he's suppressing all kinds of trauma. And this, I think this is like, so we had Uncle Fucker earlier, which is a wonderful song and a wonderful number. But I feel like it's Easy MK. I feel like now the movie's cooking with gas. Now we're like, this is something special.
Well, yeah, because it further develops his character, who is a constant character on the show. Mm-hmm.
But like the kids are dancing and everything. Like this is impressive shit. But of course, the song doesn't work. They still love to curse, and then they go see Terrence and Phillip again, and on and on. And then Kenny dies because he sees Terrence and Phillip light a fart on fire, and Cartman bets him that he can't light a fart on fire, but then he does, and then Cartman tries to put it out with a stick, and then that classic South Park joke of the stick is on fire, and he tries to put it out.
The stick is on fire!
South Park loves to do the joke where something extreme happens, and you pay attention to the less extreme thing that's happening off to the side. For example, Kenny is dying in
Right,
the emergency room. Stan throws up, and the others are like, "Gross, Stan! You threw up. That's sick."
Some graphic shit too. The depiction of him in the hospital with his rib cage out.
Yeah,
Just, I don't think I remembered how much South Park played with. Was like seeing me. I mean, I don't know enough about animation to know if they were the first, but real images, posters from the real world. Like 3D.
no, they weren't the first, but yeah,
It's all over the place in the movie, and I don't know if they take as many opportunities to do it in the show. There's so many.
no, they do, and
Okay.
in ways you don't notice. Like, I watched an episode where Mr. Garrison's like giving a speech, and the microphone he's talking to is just a photo of a microphone, and it's like that is just you didn't want to draw a microphone. Like usually there's a joke reason for it, like it's a photo of David Hasselhoff, but. Yeah.
Well, just now, Kenny's ribs were just a photo of ribs.
But that's funny.
Yeah.
But if it's a microphone, what? Truly, that's just you didn't want to draw a microphone. Kenny dies and goes to heaven. We actually follow Kenny in the afterworld. He meets Satan. Satan becomes one of the leads of the movie, and things start happening.
Okay.
Things are spiraling out of control because the mothers they blame Canada. You could say they blame Canada.
Blame it.
For producing Terrence and
heard.
Phillip as people. And, I remember Roger Ebert's review of this movie where he gave the classic South Park critique, which is, I'm not sure what this movie has to say. Does it think that like parenting groups go too far or that the actual movies themselves go too far? Which I don't think
it's
that's
either.
fair. I think the movie definitely is condemning the moms, the parenting groups. I mean, for totally focusing on the wrong thing. And even in the song saying we have to blame somebody because if we don't, someone will blame us.
Exactly.
And,
It's lazy
you know,
parenting.
you use parenting groups trying to ban books right now. We got to stop the libraries from having smut in them because we as parents don't have the capacity to stop our kids from going to the library and checking out materials on our own.
Again, just goes back to if you had a good relationship with your children and trusted them and you talked to them like they're fucking people, you'd have influence over your kids. Yeah, it's so many of the fucking problems with school and everything is just parents who don't have any kind of relationship with their children making everybody else's fucking problem.
But even more simple than that is like, you don't have to give your kid a library card or like,
What? No. You go to library in school. It goes every Friday.
well, but I'm talking about the public library. But
Oh.
I mean, yeah, that certainly happens
It's a
it
public
happens
school.
in school libraries too.
No.
I would be surprised if one of the hardest jobs in America right now has got to be being a school librarian or being somebody
Yeah.
who's in charge of picking the books that are going to be in the school library.
Yeah, that sounds thankless as fuck. Our kid found a book and was reading it yesterday as a graphic novel. Had a trans character in it. Had a elderly lesbian couple. Had non-binary person in it. And our kid was gushing over how, I don't know, just nice it is to be included in the library book, like in a public school. I don't know if we should call
This
out.
book was in the school.
Yeah, this is got it from.
and
school library.
this school is New Orleans High, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home of the dolphin. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but it means a lot to a kid that's not mainstream everything.
Well, that's why they're protesting. I mean,
I know
that's why the fucking Sheila Broflovskis of the world are mad because they don't want anyone to feel good. I mean, that's not actually. I mean,
No,
that's part of the reason why.
They
but
feel
they're-
out of control and they don't understand or have the capacity to change their relationship with their kid or do anything different as a parent. So the only thing they can do is blame everybody else for.
and probably think, no, I do have a good relationship with my kid.
Yes.
My kid's going to get poisoned. My kid's going to hear the weird code words that are going to like change their programming.
Again, that's like thinking so little of a freaking child that they can't understand who to believe and who not to, even if they go down the wrong path for a little while. Like, if you trust your parents, you'll bring that to them. And, like, if their parents, like, maybe you'll think about it. It's just like, spend more time with your kid and not in an oppressive way. Listen to what they say. And if they tell you they're into something, talk about that. And actually get into it, too.
And if
Care about the things they care about. Let them build your world as well. This is not interesting, me giving parenting advice, but like I have very strong feelings about lazy fucking reactive parenting and people parenting other people's kids. I mean, here I am. but I mean, people restricting other people's children based on their beliefs. Fuck you.
in the public libraries more, and I'm saying this because like where we live, this issue was kind of like a canary in the coal mine for like the nationwide hard right turn against trans
So when they
people.
come for the books, that's when
It's
you
like
know.
this started here like a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
and like the main political signs you would see around here are about the libraries, and it's most people, it's people being like, we don't want any smut for our kids,
Right.
but
This
like,
boomer don't want a groomer.
but it's like you don't have to go to the library.
Right.
If you
What
go
a
to the
weird-
library, your kids, you can monitor your kids in what they read.
What a wholesome
Why
place to-
why does the library have to handle
Your
that for you?
hoodlum child is hanging out at the fucking library. I mean, like, it's just so wholesome. Like, what?
Oh, I know. Yeah,
It's so silly.
I mean, that's the other thing is like you think that's where they're going to get this information and not the device they carry around in front of their face all day long,
Right.
Where you can find out anything.
But it's government, right? Like, you can say that you can make it political because there is something
Yes,
the
of
government
course.
could technically do.
Yeah. So the South Park moms get Terrence and Philip arrested, and so this motivates our boys because I guess what journeys do our characters go on? Stan is worried that Wendy, the girl that he likes, has fallen in love with a new boy, Gregory, who's more political. What do you think of Gregory? Let's watch Gregory.
Thank you.
Hey, what's going on over there?
The American government thinks it has the right to police the world. Your government is going to kill 2 Canadian citizens, an action condemned by the UN, home of the free indeed.
I love Gregory. He's my favorite character.
Oh,
Home of the free indeed.
I mean, to me, it seems like he's a stand-in for, don't worry, dummies who like this show. We think it's dumb to be smart, too. And then for smarties to be like, yeah, you could also be smart. Dumbasses that like this show. Mm-hmm. They're just having it both ways, as they usually do.
Yes. For them, the worst thing you can do is the worst person you can be is somebody who cares about a cause. If you say you care about a cause, you're just lying because you want chicks to like you. Because,
You want those raisins.
Because the only people in the world are men who are trying to impress women. Mm-hmm. But it is funny. I mean, they are good at making the most obnoxious character in the world. This little 10-year-old who's just repeating things like home of the free indeed.
Well, all of their characters just seem, they're one-off characters, or like they're characters that serve to make the episode spicy. It seems like it's always supposed to be a counterbalance to something else that's more prevalent in the show. Such as like, look at how in a different world it could be like this, see? And we could all be talking like this. Wouldn't that be something? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be a fast, wooded pace sort of thing to do? Fart.
So Gregory is from another show, you're saying?
Seems to be from a different reality, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why he's got an accent, right? He's supposed to seem like he's from a different world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle, his mom is the leader.
Oh, God, I can see they're indistinguishable from each other. Who's the one that vomits constantly?
Stan.
Okay. Don't say it like it's obvious.
I'm sorry.
A whole 10 minutes saying how it's not
No,
obvious.
I know I
Bitch.
said they're interchangeable, but when I hear you say that, I'm like, well, Stan's the one who throws up, of course,
Yeah,
you idiot.
that's not shocking that you love to fucking get excited about something you can correct me on.
Tyranny of small differences. Kyle wants to stop his mom, but he's a little too afraid of her. So that's his journey. And Cartman's journey is...
I don't remember.
He doesn't really have one.
Oh.
He gets the V chip installed in his head, which prevents him from saying swear words. But how that interacts with the main plot, it doesn't really.
Is it to show like, look at the extremes you'll go to? You'll put an untested,
you'll torture children.
Well, no, you'll put a medical device inside of them that we don't even know what it really does. We don't have any testing on this, no long-term effect studies, but at least he's acting appropriate, and you're not looking like a bad parent. Yay! Birth control, am I right?
Kinda.
Okay.
Kinda.
At least you can't have any mistakes.
Okay, but they get an idea. We're going to form an organization to stop our moms.
There's not one, like, thing you could be inappropriate about that they don't cover in this fucking movie. I mean, they touch on everything. There's even the M word. M word. For little people.
Oh. Okay, yes. But I was expecting way more of it than we got. I was expecting the homophobic slurs.
Yeah.
I was expecting the R word, and there was only one of each, I think.
Do they really need the homophobic slurs when two of the driving, like, new, interesting characters to watch are just flaming gay people?
Big Gay Al and...
Not Big Gay Al. It's, Saddam Hussein and
Oh, yes,
and the
yes,
devil.
yes. No, but don't...
Should I say flaming? I don't mean it like that. I mean, like, I mean it. But not. I think that's fun. Maybe that's not a word.
Yeah, but in the '90s, everyone was saying it all the time. I mean, straight people were saying this word all the time.
Yeah, that's
divorced from what they perceive as.
I'm saying right now,
intent.
is that a word I should be saying?
Flaming.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Oh, sorry. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Well, then I just won't.
They're going to start an organization, and so they start singing a song. What would Brian Boitano do? Which is a callback to the Spirit of Christmas short, where Brian Boitano comes and helps the kids. So they sing this song. I'm gonna listen to it, a little bit of it, because it's very good.
Time to the year 3010. He fought the evil robot king and saved the human race again. And when Brian Boitano built the pyramids, he beat up Kublai Khan. Cause Brian Boitano doesn't take shit from anybody. So let's put all the kids together and unite to stop our moms. And we'll save Terrence and Phillip too, cause that's what Brian Boitano do. And we'll save Terrence and Phillip too, cause that's what Brian Boitano do. Cause that's what Brian Boitano do.
All right.
So yeah, I loved this movie when it came out. I watched it all the time. I bought the CD and listened to that all the time. And that was my favorite song at the time. And I don't think I liked it enough. I think this is the best
great song,
the best moment in the movie. I'd say the best moment in South Park. The best thing that Trey and Matt have ever done. I think I think those 20 seconds we just watched are like ecstatic joy of the kids all singing together, and the song is so catchy.
Being
and
on the same page.
Being on the same page,
being
but also
nerded out and liking and approving the same weird cultural reference.
yes,
Yeah.
in terms of like music of a musical, of writing a musical, and having the song that like sort of gets everything going and summarizes the stakes for everybody and where everybody's at. It's perfect. And then the song's just so it's so catchy, and the we'll save turns I feel up to because that's what we're talking about.
Okay, but I will clock it for I don't think any of the songs have a completely original like melody. Like that is definitely like that's like very Western. But fine. No, Matt.
What
I mean, the exact thing that they're like, there's absolute, I don't know if it's the Lone Ranger. I don't know. I have heard that melody before, maybe in City Slickers. It is very familiar.
Do, 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 do. I mean, it's very basic.
It's very basic. And that's the only thing I'd say about every single song in here. It's not very complicated. Whereas Bob's Burgers, very complex.
These songs, I don't know the musical Les Mis, but I know that the songs in this movie mirror songs from the Les Mis musical.
I would believe that. They all sound like songs from musicals, but they and I think they're beautifully, masterfully reworded and reworked, but they don't sound like original melodies. That's my only thing, but I really like them. I'm gonna think of it. I'm gonna think of the. I know there's a song I know that does that exact thing, and I'll figure it out.
So after the best moment of South Park of the whole series, what happens then? You take it from here.
Like I fucking know. I have no goddamn clue. You were playing the movie in front of me and then you took it away.
Sorry.
I have no memory for these kinds of things.
Well, there's this thing where Kenny is meeting up with Saddam Hussein and Satan because Saddam Hussein is in hell because he got eaten by a pack of wild boars before this movie.
Right.
In real life, he wouldn't die until the year 2003, or was it 04?
I didn't know that.
Ladies
I didn't
and
know he
gentlemen,
played a dead
we got
character
him.
before he was dead. All the rib cages in this movie are real rib cages. I'm looking. Yeah, Hell looks awesome. I love the way Hell's animated. Any reason you think why Saddam Hussein is cut straight in half the way the Canadians are?
Well, because that's what you have to do with the.
That's not true. You could just do a circle, an opening, just the same way that they did with the construction paper mouths on the two shorts that we watched that they did before the show ran.
Oh, I guess you can.
You just do
yeah.
an open circle, but they choose to make him a big flapping up and down head.
Make him look like Canadian.
Yeah, I mean his arms, or he has a Canadian body.
I don't know, because it's funny.
I'm pretty. I'll bet if I had to guess anything outside of the United States, because of the whole America thing, I'm sure they just make them a completely different animation style, more one-dimensional, because Americans don't think much of other cultures. They're not interested. They're not as interested, so they just think of them as this one flat thing. Canadians are
maybe.
this, and then this man from the Middle East is this, and I said Middle East because I don't know where he's from. Iraq.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. They have the recurring joke that people keep saying Satan and Saddam Hussein are going to attack, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, Saddam Hussein!" That's that old South Park joke.
I do like that you can see Satan's thong the entire time.
And Matt Stone does the voice of Saddam Hussein. I can't not notice the voices now, and when it's not Trey, it's
always me.
It's notable. Big Gay Al is done by Matt Stone, but when Big Gay Al then starts singing, it's Trey Parker singing, which I find very jarring. But Trey's the singer and Matt is not.
Well, all right. If you insist, I'll sing my song. I believe it goes a little bit like this. Bombs are flying. People are dying. Children are crying. Politicians are lying too.
Although Matt sings as Saddam Hussein, but I can change.
Yeah, but he's not supposed to sound good. He's supposed to sound like Saddam.
Exactly. Satan has his big musical number that we're watching right now where he has the I Want song from Little Mermaid or whatever. And He hits this giant note. Was not able to find out if that is actually Trey Parker hitting that high note. It can't actually be. They had to get like some Broadway singer to do it. If only I could live up there. I could hit that note, but I don't want to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're busy.
Again, until like 2 weeks ago, I never noticed that like these designs, specifically their hats, have these construction paper ridges or whatever.
The only things with shadows are when their faces need to be separated from their shirt, I think. But he doesn't have a shadow at all, but he does. He. Sorry. Cartman does not need a shadow because his neck goes straight into his shirt. Where the other boys have shadows around their faces because you need some distinction.
All right. I don't know. They break in. Terrence Phillip get arrested, get executed. Canada invades, starts war.
I don't think you get points for rattling off the actual plot of the movie if you don't. And yeah, you can't just speed run it.
I like this movie a lot. I feel like it does lose. It kind of loses. It's 80 minutes, and maybe it's like you had enough for maybe like 55 minutes.
Which is the story of their life, right?
Yeah.
But I was dreading watching this. Mm-hmm. I thought it was going to be another fucking Beavis and Butthead moment, but it moved. I liked it. Our kid liked it. We watched it with the 12-year-old who had seen South Park before, but the kid was laughing. Did have some issues with some of the language. Yes.
And was like, I don't know how to feel because this was very funny, but also they said words I don't like. They were racist. And I don't like that, so I don't know what to do. And it's like, that's the thing.
That's the thing.
It
gives you complicated feelings.
Well, but hey, welcome to the world, right? Things aren't black and white, kid.
Hang on, sister.
Yeah. Movie was a pretty big hit. Did a lot.
Do you think it's why they got another season?
They were getting a new season no matter what.
How many seasons?
This was the biggest thing in the history of, Comedy Central just dwarfed anything they'd ever done before. This was like
what was? Oh,
South
this
Park.
show. Okay,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
This was, we have stand-up specials and like reruns of game shows and like Monty Python. That was comedy. That's Cartoon Network and that's later.
Oh, damn. I always think of it as being...
Yeah, Comedy Central was one of the original shows they had was Dr. Katz, which was
which I watched.
Super low budget, barely animated at all. And, they got like 1% of the ratings of South Park. Mm-hmm. South Park was like, oh, we didn't know we could get viewers like this.
Right.
And so just totally changed the network.
What did they go on to have? Like, what did it give them the ability to also finance other shows that they wouldn't have been able to otherwise?
What is the second biggest?
Right. What's the other flagship?
Script. The other flagship is The Daily Show. That already existed at the time. Jon Stewart would take over, I think, in like 2000 or 2001. But that's the other big flagship. But yeah, what is the second biggest scripted Comedy Central?
Well, I always thought it was Adult Swim is where I watched there on that show. God damn it. But now that I know I didn't, I guess I must have just been watching comedy specials all the time. Because this was is Channel 39. Like, I still remember because I was always on it.
Yeah. Like the joke in The Simpsons from like a few years before is like, Mr. Smithers says he always watches Comedy Central. I made sure to note that because it was most unusual. But like cable at the time, and cable now, as it still exists, I guess, was like, you get a billion channels, and the people who have to program these channels, they're like, what are we got to put something on here. I don't know what. So just find some shit. So
billion channels. This is your fucking privilege talking again. I had 41 channels.
I didn't have cable. I had the same tier of cable you had, it sounds like.
And maybe it went up to the 50s.
But I'm talking about like, the 80s and 90s. This is what cable is. Yeah, it's a billion channels, but there's nothing on them. And when you have to program it, you start thinking things like, what can we put on here?
39, that's MTV, and they're burned into my head. Those channels were just my channels, right? Those are just like, depending on what provider you had, those were Cox cable channels. Other people experience these things on other channels. Is that right?
That's right. And when you say those, I want to share my own numbers, but then I'm thinking like, this is the fucking...
Yeah, birthdays.
This is my birthday or my sign.
You have a birthday?
Oh, see, because MTV was actually channel 48 for me.
That's so weird. I remember 27 in the logo of MTV, but it's not. It's not. I remember being a big giant 27 with a TV in it, and I was like, what? That was an M with a TV in it. What?
Now I sort of remember MTV, before I watched MTV, was 27, or maybe VH1 was 27 and MTV was 28.
I'm telling you, I thought it was part of the logo. That's how integrated the number 27 is in my head. I don't know. But 39 too. So weird. I think I did some Mandela effect stuff with both of those things. Unless your local cable provider puts little short commercials in between content from those and works in their number. Oh my God, I bet they fucking do.
Yeah, of course they do.
Well, then that's what I'm thinking. Oh God, I've been marketed to.
You have, yes. I love.
Sick.
I love TV. I love TV. I love the history of TV for little weird shit like that. For like you consume this all day and you don't understand. Okay, most of the content is being produced by the national network, but also my own local broadcaster has their own little commercials that they put in, and it all just mushes together for me.
I have no idea. Like, I mean, it took me a long time before I realized what were local commercials versus once I started getting friends that didn't live here, and then I'd try to, give them some sexy Morris Bart action, and it was like, what are you? No, that's not my attorney.
Morris Bart is our local
Big
highly
billboard.
advertised attorney.
Like owns a sports team now.
He's not owned the sports team.
He's
He's
got
a
a
big sponsor of the New
front row
Orleans
seat.
Pelicans. Very
Those
big
hair
sponsor.
plugs. Woo.
Well, so what do we do with ourselves now, and where are we? And
I'm 100% Bob's Burgers and King of the Hill. That's where my bread is buttered.
what does that mean?
It means that that King of the Hill is just as old, and it completely withholds like it's not fair. You can't judge things when they're from the day they're made in or whatever. Maybe it's actually not fair when what you're trying to do is be very shocking for your time. That just automatically puts you in the zeitgeist of that year. You can't really judge it the same way. But
The same way as what?
as a show that's not going for just shock, that's going for more storytelling, like King of the Hill, which is just as old, but it holds up. There's so much to like. There's so much storytelling. There's so much character developed. There's so many people to roll your eyes at, but no one you really hate. Like there's no one to really hate in King of the Hill, and I think that's pretty fucking hard to do. The closest you can get is Buck Strickland, but I like him too. Like there's sad moments for him. And then the other one would be, the guy that talks like the guy
Buckley?
that works. No, Buckley's fine. No, the one that works at the racetrack, and then also
Jimmy.
Yeah, but it's like, but even that, I there's episodes where I like him too.
Wait, but you're saying
I'm just saying it's a much more complicated, well written, interesting show, and it says a lot at how much I can watch it right now, and it does not feel dated. Where South Park, I cannot say the same thing.
it's hard to. I've been trying to come up with. So how do I feel about South Park now? I haven't watched it in years. I've revisited some of the episodes. I've changed the way I thought about a lot of them, but almost every episode I watch, I'm like, I'll laugh a few times.
Yeah.
There's good jokes. I like this. I love the way it looks, and I love the style. And I think these guys are good voice actors. And it's not like they're actually going to change it to 11 minutes. So the show as it exists. Yeah, I wouldn't say this is a great show. I don't know if an episode of South Park can be great just by the nature of how it's produced. Mm-hmm. But I also know that it's they say we're punk rock. And what is punk rock? Punk rock,
Right.
or one of the things punk rock was a response to like super highly produced and technical rock music of the 70s. Let's
Right.
strip it down. Let's just play 3 power chords. We're not going to have elaborate production. We're not played by people who didn't take music lessons. We couldn't afford music lessons. It's not like that's a less valid way of making things. But if you compare any episode of South Park to any episode of, I wonder if you even compare it to Family Guy, like how does it hold up?
Not as well. And Family Guy's that's another show that just didn't. It's another show based on shocking people and doing things other things, saying things other shows won't say. Like I think American Dad holds up better because it wasn't solely that. Where I feel like Family Guy, another show that had too heavily leaned on being shocking, but still better, I think.
When I've watched episodes of Family Guy recently,
Oh, I haven't. I mean,
I've
I'm
only
too embarrassed
watched
to.
a handful. I think it does hold up better simply by the craft of making it,
Yeah.
because this was produced by a writer's room who wrote,
Yeah.
who rewrote, who had a long period of time. The animation studio had a long time to work on it. They could refine, even if they're not working on great things. South Park has, by design of how they make it, so little to
Tools.
actually work with.
So little
and
tools
that
in their tool
produces
belt.
really unique stuff,
I was
but not stuff that's going to necessarily hold up.
exact, and I was going to say that I will say, and maybe because no one wants to reinvent this, so maybe it's just as much as a negative as it is a positive. But it is truly unique. I can't think of anything else that followed it that's like it, and that's interesting because it seemed like something that was going to pave the way. And I'm not saying it didn't, but no one tried to replicate it exactly. I mean, enough that you could be like, oh, that is because South Park walked, so this could run. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the comparison would
There
be.
isn't one. It just looks
I'm sure
like a
there have
greeting
been.
card to me.
But you know, the counter to all that is none of these other shows we named could do what South Park does, which is respond in very close to real time to
True.
something that happens.
Very true.
And like, yeah, when like the new episode of South Park airs a couple weeks after 9/11 and the opening
Yeah.
shot is the kids with gas masks, I imagine watching that in real time would have been like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And The Simpsons could never have done that because it takes a year to produce an episode of The Simpsons.
You're absolutely right about that. Another one is R. Kelly, and another one is right after Cosby. And then, like, there's a bunch of... it was much more your National Enquirer show because it's like, oh, it's going to have the hottest gossip. And, like, they almost have to fold it in. If it was
It could
a big enough
occasionally,
deal.
but it could occasionally, like, make you, like, watch it and think, I literally just experienced that today.
Yeah.
How is this
How
possible?
is it do? Yeah, it's like the nightly
That's the
news.
trade-off.
Yeah, that's a great
But that's
point.
why watching reruns of South Park is not as fun.
Right, the daily news is not meant to be digested years later. It's meant to be really important
Yeah.
right then.
And that the episodes that hold up the best are not topical, are
Yep.
not political,
Yep.
are more character-based.
And that's why I said maybe it's not fair to judge a show that is based on the zeitgeist of that time. It is specifically to capture that moment and what's going to push the envelope right then. Once you've pushed it, well, then it's not that anymore. So I think it's probably impossible to compare it to anything else. It's doing what it's meaning to do.
Okay, star rating.
I forgot that I do that. Okay, 3.5 stars.
I, too, give it 3.5 stars.
Oh.
I think it's very good. I think it might be the best South Park anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably.
Barring some Randy Marsh moments. Sorry, those are
Yeah,
still...
I mean, just, is it a better movie than any episode of South Park is a great episode of television?
Probably.
I don't know how many episodes of South Park are like great episodes of TV.
Purely because they took an entire season to make the movie where they take 6 days to make everything
Yes,
else. So,
exactly.
I mean, it just had to be.
But hey, like the Spirit of Christmas, is that the best a 4-minute short can be? It might be.
No.
I think as a 4-minute weird like internet video,
I guess I need to compare it to what existed at the time because, yeah, no, I feel like I can think of shorter things that are better. Especially because you recently introduced me to Smiling Friends, which is a lot in 4 minutes. I know that they're longer than that, but
Yeah.
think of what they pack into those. I mean, shit, they touch on some things.
they do. Smiling Friends
Smiling
on.
Friends.
Hey, subscribe to Max and you can watch it there. Well,
Not sponsored.
what about your other metrics like?
Rewatchability, that's just your least important one. What do you mean my other metrics? I gave you my rating. Why you need to know?
What were your other metrics? I forgot.
I don't remember.
Heart.
Oh,
rate?
no. Pace, subverting expectations, rewatchability, vibes.
Do you feel anything for Kenny making the
chemistry,
ultimate
like-
sacrifice?
No. We would have gotten to meet the two of the most interesting people if he didn't go to hell.
He chooses not to come back to life.
Oh, I forgot. I truly don't remember this movie. We just watched it a week ago.
Well, that's too much. We usually watch the movie and then record.
Right. This is not how my brain works. I
Yeah.
can't go this long. You even said maybe we should watch it again. Like, I got it. Because that is also how my brain works. I am overconfident in my memory. Sorry.
It's okay. Kenny says his first word without being muffled, and he's voiced by Mike Judge. Doesn't sound like Mike Judge because it's pitched way the hell up. Oh, this is one more thing. If you ever look up videos of them, of Matt and Trey doing the voices, they don't actually do the voices they're digitally altered.
No, they're just talking.
They're not. I mean, they're doing.
Oh, that's fucking boring.
Trey Parker does Cartman's voice. It sounds different, but he does it that way every time. That's why it sounds the way it does.
I hate this, but that is a time saver. So again,
no, it's not time. It's I can't make myself sound like
sure, but you know
child.
what takes a long time? Hiring a different voice actor and scheduling them to get your shit done in 6 days. So what I'm saying is, it's a control thing. It was a good solution to the way they wanted to produce the show.
That's not why they did. I mean, they
did.
always did it. They always
it.
did the voices. They always did the kids' voices that way.
Yes, because their way of doing things is to not have a big staff doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't yourself physically make different voices because you're not that gifted of a voice actor, you've got to find a different method.
Yeah.
It's still a solution to the same problem, which is I want the complete control. I want the ability to do this fast. What if that voice actor gets sick? I'm not waiting on them to fucking take a vacation or break a leg or whatever. It's a control thing. And part of me really thinks that's fucking smart. Another part goes, boo. But if I had been thinking of this entire episode in the frame of this is what it takes to make the nightly news of animated series. If I'd been thinking of it like that the whole time, I would have been way more generous. Because that makes so much more sense as to why it was important, why it always felt topical, why it always felt comforting.
Mm-hmm. It's a comfort show.
But in the same way that Jon Stewart, Last Week Tonight does. John Oliver. And like I've had feelings this week or 2 weeks. I wonder if he's going to put my feelings into words I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, he did. And that is exactly what I liked about South Park after something big happened.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't always depend on it, but especially in later seasons, probably like 10 on, you could count on it. Until
you couldn't. Like the thing that happened with the Trump season where Mr. Garrison is their stand-in for Trump.
Yes.
And they wrote and produced. They had an episode that was airing the night after the election that they were 90% through with, in which Hillary Clinton wins. And then she didn't win. And they're like, oh my God, we have, 19 hours to finish our episode. And they said, like, we're struggling to react to reality and keep up with reality.
Yeah.
And part of that is also, you're growing older and richer and,
but once life becomes parody, once once idiocracy actually happens, it's not funny anymore. So even though there's comical moments in his presidency, maybe it was just we don't actually know if it's going to lead to a lot of death and a war and like really fucked up shit. So maybe let's not make fun of it in real time. Let's take a beat and see what devastation happens because this occurred, rather than like being really off the mark in like just a few short months.
Yeah, and sort of if you have a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. By responding to this the same way we respond to everything else, we make it seem more normal or more benign than it actually is.
That's and I think that was probably their way of like addressing the gravity of the situation, and still remaining not political, which is kind of hard to do.
Yeah. So South Park.
There you go. Okay. Wow. Usually an episode doesn't make me like appreciate something more. Wait. Like I usually know how I feel. I mean, I'm not going to say you haven't talked me into certain things, but this might be the first time where I ended up on a different side a bit.
Wait, what side were you?
Not about the movie.
Okay.
Not about the movie. I liked the movie. I liked the movie despite itself. Like, I mean, I liked the movie despite the show. The taste in my mouth about the show in general was like, yeah, I ran out of steam. Mm-hmm. But then when I'm like, oh, it was fucking supposed to. It's like saying fucking, the Daily Show ran out of steam. If you're trying to watch shit from 20 years ago, that's not going to be very interesting or funny.
Yeah.
Everything gets parodied and replicated, and it doesn't mean anything anymore. But it does in the moment.
Whereas, 20 years from now, Bob's Burgers episodes you'll be able to watch.
Yes. Right. And I was judging it on the wrong metric.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I'm smart for talking myself into this. God damn it. You've done it again, Lacey.